In this video, we're going to look at a simple way to make these masonry panels located on the Barnes Museum. The thing we're going to focus on is how to make the reveals in Revit using the reveal command, and then how to map a texture onto these panels. And what we'll do is we'll create a new material, and then we'll either apply it to the wall or we'll just use our paint tool to apply it. So the first thing we should do is we have two types of reveals. We have a thinner reveal and a wider reveal. So let's start placing some of those. So just with the generic 12-inch wall here, if I click on it, it's nothing fancy, it's just a 12-inch generic wall. It comes in the standard architectural template. So what we're going to do is we're going to apply some reveals to this wall. And the way to do that is you click down on the architecture tab, you click down on wall, and we do wall reveal. And right away you see it wants to put in a horizontal reveal. That's what it defaults to. So we'll put in a couple of these. One here. Now, normally what it wants you to do is continue the reveal around as far as you want to go. So you can continue it that way by clicking on the next wall and then say restart reveal so that you can build another one. Hit restart reveal, and maybe we put in some vertical ones now. Alright, so with that, just looking at our picture again, the vertical ones are not continuous all the way through. So what you can do is it does not have to be continuous in Revit either. If you click on it, you see how you get these, there are little blue grips again on each side. You can grab those grips and drag it back up. And then we can place another one. Make sure it's vertical. Do one there. Restart. Do one there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just manipulate the length again. So you can see you can place these however you like. I don't really recommend, if you're doing wall panels or something simpler, mortar joints, I don't recommend using reveals. They will slow you down a lot. But here, for making these panels with reveals on it, we can either use reveals or you can make a family of each panel and place them on the surface of a wall. That's another option on how to do this. Once they're made, we can grab these things and always make another row. I'm just going to copy these down so we have some panels to work with on the corner here. And I'll add in just a couple over here, so we have some things we can work with. That's probably good enough. I don't need to break it all up on this side, just so I have some continuous panels. So that what you normally would want to do then is control the exact size of your reveals. Right now it's a little confusing because if you click on this reveal and go to edit type, it says profile default. It's not really helpful because there isn't normally a default profile in your families. So just so you can see how it works, it's deriving it from a profile, but there is no default profile. So it's a little frustrating because it's not necessarily clear how it's getting this. What you could do is, if you know it's a brick course, you could always edit your reveal and change it. So if we knew we wanted 1 brick of a reveal, first of all, before we make any changes, I would duplicate this and say reveal, call it 1 brick. We could switch to that size. And you can see now it's revealing 1 brick of width. So if I come over here, should be able to dimension it. I have to go to an elevation. But we should be able to dimension it and get it to the exact brick size that you would want. Once you've made that type, you could also use the match properties command. So we would do this, or just type MA, and you could say that reveal is the same as that one, that one, that one. And you can make all your reveals, vertical reveals, thinner, keeping the wider default reveal. Now, you're going to want to be more precise than all of this. So, making a reveal is fairly easy. You can either start it completely from scratch, or we can just make one really quick. But right now, what we're using is this brick soldier course reveal. So just so you could see what that one looks like, we're going to go to right click on it, go to edit. And that's as exciting as a profile family gets. I believe, let me see if they have something's turned off on this one. Yeah, they have dimensions turned off. Yeah, just setting up how big this piece is, and all profile is really just line work wrapping around. So you can come in here and you can edit this, or you can even just in the family. Let's see if we can hop on back. You can also even edit the type here. So if I change my brick height, it's going to make this even wider. You change that right here. So if we made this 4 inches, and I hit OK, we should see these reveals. Let's see if we can get them to go. Unless it's just not deriving this at all from this family. So what I'm realizing is that it's actually these are the families. So it's the reveal brick course here, not the wall sweep. So that was my mistake. So if I change this one to 4 inches, there, they actually change. So I'll hit undo just so we get normal brick size back. But yes, if you change the profile that the reveal system family is using, it'll change the reveal. Alright, so now how do we make some of the stonework that we see here? We have stone panels on here with joints. So there's a couple ways to do that. One, probably the best way, would be to just change the material that's used here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to try and make a masonry stone family and give it an image map that would render nicely. Alright, so I went to the Manage Materials, and I'm going to create a new material. right click on it, rename it. And with that, it's a little confusing how this works, but we can then apply a stone material. I clicked on this button here to open the asset browser, and we're going to do stones. Let's see what we have. You definitely don't want polished. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring over this granite, just so we have something to start with. And you can see, if you click on the name here, it has an image map. So what you could do now is find a better one. It has a relief pattern too. You can make a relief pattern by making your image map black and white. I'm just going to turn this off for now. And what I have done is I have grabbed a panel from an image of the Barnes Museum and just made it square so I can use it to tile. Still might not tile well, but this is just something to work with. And I am going to go find that. I think I just stuck it on my desktop. Alright, so that's in there. Now, one thing you normally can do, so I click on the image, it should tell me how big it is. At least when it comes to mapping it on the building. Alright. So right now it's scrunching us down to 7 inches by 1.5 or 1 foot 8. That's not nearly close enough. We need to be more like 20 inches across, or 20 feet across, at least. And it should not be limiting us to the proportions of the piece before us. So let's do 20 by 20. 20 by 20 feet. Alright, that's starting to get closer to the size we need. Obviously, if you're using brick, you can figure out a way to remember that your brick courses are always 8 inches high. For every 3 courses, you can pick the exact size of brick. Alright, one last thing is a surface pattern. What I'm going to do here is just show you how to make a surface pattern so that you know what you're doing. But in the case of the Barnes Museum, the stone really is, it's not a repeating pattern on these. So it's custom for each one of these panels. So the best way to do that would be to put model lines on the panels to make them customized. If you're not looking to make something that customized, you want a repeating stone pattern. The way to do that would be to come in here to the graphics tab, surface pattern, and you don't want drafting for this stone. Drafting is good if you are doing a wall section and you always want your rigid insulation to represent itself in the exact same scale, no matter what scale of a detail or drawing you're working in. Model means the surface pattern actually has a scale. It's 3 feet by 3 feet or whatever you want it to be, and it's always that scale, no matter what drawing it is. So that you always want to use model if you're representing a scale, a real life scale like brick or stonework on the outside of your building, or even like wood flooring or stone on the floor of your building. Anything that always keeps its scale and is not representative of a cut material. So we'll click on model, and we could start with something else. But so you can see how the brick works. We can actually almost start with the brick. And what the brick is they brought in a PAT file from, typically it's the same file type as an AutoCAD, and you can import it in. So I can't really customize this. So what I want to do is find one I could start to customize. So you see here with my 4-inch tile, I can actually just set the spacing. That might not always work for you, and if it doesn't, you can always import in a hatch pattern that matches exactly the stone spacing that you want. So here we'll keep it simple. I'll rename it, by 4 foot by 4 foot, and I'll change these from 4 inches to 4 feet. Alright, that's the pattern we'll use. This color below it is the color it's going to make the lines when it draws them. Making it a gray is nice because it does take off the intensity of the line compared to your reveals. So we'll hit OK. Now, what I'll do is I will use my paint bucket tool to apply it to one of these so you can see what it looks like. So go to Modify. This little paint doesn't really look like a very good icon, but you click on that, and here's our barnstone. You're going to have the tendency to want to close this before you actually paint with it. If you close this, it just ends the command. And then what you could do is you can come in and make a selection. So here, I can select the outer face of this wall, and you see it applies it to the whole wall. Alright, so with the whole wall painted, what you can then do is start moving around the joints. If I use the align command, I can select this part and actually move my panels to align with them. Now, right now, this is all technically one big piece. So when I move these panels to work on one spot, it might not work on all the others. So with that, you would have to course out your wall how you want it, or you can use the split phase command and split off parts of the wall to work independently from other ones. The reveals do not work that way. They're not going to split. If this is all one wall, they're not going to split it to pieces for me. So split face command, we can get into that in another video, but it's right here. You could draw a box around what you want to split out, and you could paint it differently than the surrounding area. So now that we have that, what we can do is if you go to either a rendering or a realistic view, you should start to see your stone panels on the wall. And this is how it's going to render itself. So you can see this is starting to become fairly effective in showing off what we want to show off when it comes to this. One thing we do probably want to do is make these reveals go all the way back. So if this reveal, let's see, default setback 0. Yeah. Let's see if we can knock this one back in there a little more. Oops. Going the wrong way. Since I didn't make this profile, it's hard to figure out the best way to get it to work. Wow. Alright. So edit this type and see if I can just make that profile deeper. Brick depth. I think the other one was 8. Insert in the wall 0. Alright, well, you could play with that until you get the reveal exactly how you want it. But you can see this is making it a deeper reveal. And it's starting to look a little more accurate. So the last wet thing you could do is if you really do want to have these custom stone patterns. If I go back to hidden line view, I don't want to have these patterns shown with my stone material. So what I would do then is just go to manage materials, edit my Barnes stone material to not have a surface pattern. So that takes that off. And then what I could do, if I look at it straight on and go back to a realistic view, I can then just draw lines on. Just go to the Architecture tab, do Model Lines. You could pick the line type that you want to use. You might even, thin lines is going to be black. So what I'm probably going to do is go and, let's see, additional settings, line styles. You see all my lines. So I'm going to make a new one. I normally name them by their pen setting. 1G solid. So that means it's a one line, so it's a thin line. G for gray and solid. So the only thing I have to change is make it gray. It's a one pen setting and it's a solid line. So normally I'd have one solid too, and that would be the black. And you can do like 7 solid, and that would be a very thick line. And that helps just keep all your lines in order. But for now, I'm just making this one. So then I come back to my Architecture tab, go to Model Line. Right away, it wants me to pick what plane I'm placing this on. So I'm going to say I'm going to pick a plane. And it should be the face of that wall. Alright, now you can see it's already wanting to draw a line. So if I draw something like this, see, I could start copying these lines around. You could be very precise in how you place them too. But if you're trying to mimic the line work of the stone, you could do it that way. And of course, I just drew them all in thin lines, so I'm selecting them. And I'm going to switch them. It's probably easier so they're black, so I can see them. And then switch them to the gray. They're going to be harder to see. And the difference is, when I am not in a realistic render view like this, when I am just in a hidden line view, you will have that line work also showing up on your facade. So it's added detail. So when you're just in a plain hidden line view like this, you could turn on your ambient shadows. When you're in hidden line view like this, you can have custom panel layout wherever you need to have it. So, and you can use this for stone, you can use this for metal panel, you can use it for a lot of things, and it should work. So, but this gives you a little more freedom on arranging your stone layout, however you want it. And that's it.